Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new online interview here at Commodity TV. Yeah, gold remains hot, and therefore I would like to speak today with a gold expert, Tim Smith, the CEO and president of US GoldMining, is here with me. Tim, good morning to Vancouver.
Good morning.
Yeah, and welcome to our first interview here in 2026.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here. Very happy to give you all an update on what we're up to at US GoldMining.
Okay. Before we begin, we must disclose that this interview is being produced, published, and paid for on behalf of US GoldMining. So, since our last interview, we gained a lot of new viewers. And before we maybe dive into more details, could you perhaps give us a brief overview of your Whistler project in Alaska for those viewers who are not yet familiar with it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Whistler project is located in Alaska, which of course is the largest state in the United States of America and the most northern state. We're in actually a great location. We are just 100 miles west of the main city of Anchorage. So if anyone's familiar with the geography of Anchorage, you know that around 2/3 of the population live in the major city of Anchorage, which is located in south central Alaska, relatively close to the coast. The climate there is moderated by the Pacific Ocean. Very clear shot, 100 miles across a broad valley to get to our project. So as I say, it's all about location, location, location. We're just across the valley inside the foothills of the South Alaska Range. So very easy to get to our project. And of course, the state of Alaska has spent several years now and has now reached the point at which they are permitting the road that they will build to link Whistler with that city of Anchorage. And of course, that links us into all the major transportation, port, rail, power infrastructure located around that main city of Anchorage.
So you have made a lot of progress at Whistler in recent months. Maybe let's start with the exploration work. You had a couple of discoveries in several target areas, good gold grades, and also significant copper grades there. What can you tell us about the geology of the project, and also what's the current status of your exploration campaign?
Yeah, thanks, Tim. So the Whistler project is made up of 3 separate deposits. They're all gold, copper, porphyry deposits. And essentially, they contain gold. Around 70%, 70% of the value is in gold. And the remaining 30% is mostly copper and some silver. So it certainly is primarily a series of gold deposits, but there is some significant copper in there as well. In fact, we have 1 billion pounds of copper in the Whistler deposit itself. So geologically, these are large systems. We have a very significant resource that totals 6.5 million gold equivalent ounces in the indicated category and another 4.2 million gold equivalent ounces in the inferred. And that's spread across those 3 separate deposits. Around each of those already identified and drill delineated deposits, we see significant exploration upside. In fact, in the first 3 years, so remember, US Gold is a relatively new company. Our IPO was completed in April of 2023. So we're just about to turn 3, actually, coming up on our 3rd-year anniversary. Our drilling program in 2023 and 2024 was focused on the Whistler deposit, which is the largest deposit of the 3, and it's the namesake, of course, of the overall project. We were able to add around 1.2 million gold equivalent ounces from the 2023 drilling alone. So mainly our exploration to date has focused on, we call it wingspan extension. So taking the existing deposit and just stepping out to make sure that we can properly define the maximum size of that existing deposit. But certainly, as you step further away from the existing deposits, we see 3 large mineral systems around the Whistler Raintree area. We call that mineral system the Whistler Orbit. This is a big area of about 5 miles radius where we see a porphyry cluster. In other words, multiple porphyry intrusive centers. We've defined 2 resources. We see around 25 additional targets, which we're currently working our way through geophysically and geochemically to work up those targets to define a drilling program for 2026. And then down at Muddy Creek, which is a new emerging target area, we do see some high-grade rock grape samples down there. It's a little bit different. We don't have the copper at Muddy Creek. Muddy Creek is an intrusion-related gold system, so geologically, it's just a slightly different style of formation. We think that those high-grade rock chips, up to 107 grams per ton that we collected historically there, indicate that we have another broad mineral system that we are just starting to scratch the surface of. We did some mapping and prospecting over that property last year. We're still compiling that work, actually, so that actually forms part of the news flow in the coming weeks and months. And of course, we aim to get back in 2026 into the field to Muddy Creek, in addition to, as I say, the Whistler Orbit area, where we believe we have potential for new discoveries of porphyry gold-copper mineralization.
Okay, so the Whistler project is primarily focused on gold. That's the first one. But to what extent does the copper component play a role in the further development of the project now that the metal is on the list of strategic metals in the United States?
Yeah, we think it has growing significance, essentially. And, obviously we're all well aware that gold is at an all-time high in terms of the price of bullion right now. People who are less familiar with copper may not be aware that copper is also at an all-time high. It's been sitting in recent weeks around $5.70 to $6, sometimes just over $6 per pound. This is an all-time high for copper. So the world needs copper. It's a very significant metal in terms of essentially sustainability and the greening of the economy. Our need for copper as we transform away from carbon, the carbon economy to a more sustainable energy economy is certainly significant. And yes, the United States Geological Survey and the Department of the Interior added copper to its list of critical minerals in, I think, around October 2025. So it is now officially a critical mineral. Of course, silver. I mentioned silver. We have around 24 million ounces of silver in the Whistler deposit as well. So certainly significant component of both copper and silver, which are both on the critical minerals list now. So what we believe that will help us do at Whistler is it opens doors and potentially offers opportunities in the medium and longer term to helping to fast track permitting. We've all seen the announcements, the executive orders, for example, that have been coming out of the Trump administration over the past year or so. We're seeing significant tailwinds from Washington. And really, that's exactly the opposite of what we've seen over the past 30 years. The policies right now are productive and constructive towards mining. They're certainly contributing towards what we see as an overall rally in mining stock. And Alaska, is clearly at the forefront of the Trump administration's thinking. President Trump issued an executive order on day one of his presidency, this time last year, that was titled "Unleashing Alaska's Extraordinary Resource Potential." That was on day one of his presidency. So that tells you how important it is, not just for America to get extraction of critical minerals and other resources back on the agenda for the nation, but in particular to focus on Alaska, which of course is a fantastically resource-rich state, and therefore the Whistler Project and U.S. GoldMining Inc. can only be, beneficiaries in a positive way of this sentiment around policy and legislators at both the federal level and also, I might add, the state level and even down to the borough level. So we're seeing political tailwinds at all levels of politics now, which is just fantastic for exploration and development opportunities in the United States.
Okay, you also started an initial economic assessment in
Mhm.
2025. How far along is the work, and when can we expect the first results?
Yeah, great question. So in June last year, we announced that we had put Whistler officially on the first step of the development track. So we believe we have enough resource in the ground to define a base case mining opportunity around the Whistler deposit. We teamed up with a very well regarded mine engineering company called Ozenko that has significant experience in this style of mineralization, this style of mining, and in this geographic environment in the northwestern United States of America. We started in earnest the work last summer with the collection and then the metallurgical test work of some samples from Whistler. And we announced those results in September of last year. And the upshot of that was that we were able to significantly increase our gold recoveries. Previously, our technical reports had reported that we had around 70% total gold recovery. We've been able to boost that now to 85%, and we're continuing to fine tune that. We may be able to get a little bit more out of the processing plant as we continue to finalize the study. And then, of course, in parallel with the metallurgy is just one component of the overall preliminary economic assessment. So we've had mine design and, of course, design of all aspects of a base case mining opportunity. And that is nearing completion. It is substantively completed. All of the major trade-off studies and options analyses have been completed. And of course, this covers everything from road and power right the way through to closure. Uh, so with this upcoming study, we will frame the initial base case mining opportunity. We're looking forward, of course, for the first time ever on Whistler to be able to report a base case mining opportunity that will likely be an open pit mining scenario over about a 12 to 15 year mine life. And all of those other metrics in terms of annual production, NAV and NPV and IRR, they will all come out in the coming weeks here. We believe we're advanced enough now to be able to say officially that we are aiming to have the report out, the initial news release out at least, by the end of Q1. So within the next 2 months. And of course, then to be able to follow that up closely thereafter with the technical reports. So, yeah, watch the space. We're very excited. And of course, that is just the first step, really, on a mine development journey. So we will be looking at what we do beyond that in terms of potentially progressing into a pre-feasibility or a feasibility study to go on and undertake further studies to define that mining opportunity. And of course, not forgetting that in parallel, we will continue to explore and potentially to be able to add through exploration, growth, and discovery additional resources into the future.
Okay. In addition to the actual development on Whistler itself, there's a lot going on, I would say, on the surrounding area. So you welcomed the congressman for Alaska to Whistler, and there was also news about the infrastructural development of your project, which means the new road. What can you tell us about this?
Yeah, I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier about the political tailwinds that we're seeing at all levels of politics. So certainly at the federal level, Trump himself led the way early in his presidency with that initial executive order unleashing Alaska's extraordinary resource potential was the title of that. And that's been followed up by significant interest demonstrated by the Alaska representation in Washington. So that of course includes Congressman Nick Begich and Senator Murkowski, who visited Whistler last summer. We were very happy to receive them, to tour them for a day, to have them come visit the teams, to stand on the top of Whistler, and to hear about our vision for creating a long life mining opportunity that will return significant wealth to South Central Alaska in terms of the jobs that it will create, and of course the taxes and royalties it will pay directly back to the state. So that has been, fantastic to receive that support, and not, of course, to forget the considerable support from the state and Governor Dunleavy, who has really led the way in responsible resource development in Alaska. He directed his departments, the Department of Transportation and others, to investigate the potential design, permitting, and building of the road that I mentioned earlier that will connect Anchorage to Whistler. So that design work is done, the environmental baseline work and the stakeholder engagement is done. And one of those entities, which is called ADA, that's an acronym that stands for the Alaska Infrastructure Development and Export Authority. They're essentially a state infrastructure bank. They build roads, bridges, ports, for example. So they are taking the lead on the design and now the permitting. So they have entered officially, as of 6 months ago, into permitting the West Susitna Access Road. So we're working very closely with ADA. As I say, the significance of this road is that it will connect Whistler with existing transportation infrastructure. So in other words, that allows us to bring equipment and consumables into a future potential mine site at Whistler. And of course, to truck concentrate back out to port. So at one end of that road is our mine, the Whistler future potential gold, copper, silver mine. At the other end of that road is an existing port at Port Mackenzie. So really, the state is helping set this up here to support the Whistler project directly. We're extremely happy that Governor Dunleavy and his policies have encouraged this sort of direct investment into Alaska that we've seen from ourselves. And we believe that this road will bring new investment into South Central Alaska as well through staking, exploration, and potential future discoveries and mine development in the area.
So the PEA will definitely be the next big milestone here for US gold mining. What would you say would be, in addition to this, another big catalyst for 2026?
Yeah, we're getting set up for a really exciting year here. So, of course, the PEA will be the major news in the next couple of months here, and in addition to all of those metrics that it will outline in terms of NAV and mine life and IRR, I think look for the PEA framing the fact that Whistler contains a higher grade core at the center of the deposit, which will help reduce payback. So it will be very competitive in terms of payback. We also have very good metallurgy. I mentioned that earlier. So high gold recoveries. It's a relatively simple opportunity, a simple open pit mine, crushing, grinding, flotation, leach circuit. So very standard mine. We don't have to invent anything here. All of the technology is existing and off the shelf. And of course, those permitting and government policy tailwinds that I mentioned earlier. So that's what we're aiming to frame with that PEA. The other catalysts in terms of news flow coming up in 2026, we still have a little bit of exploration data from 2025 that is currently being analyzed to report on, and that's the exploration program that was completed over the Muddy Creek area, which is the gold system about 15 kilometers south of the Whistler deposit. And then, of course, we're getting excited. Our teams are already very deep into the planning for a 2026 field program. We are aiming to get out into the field in June and really make the most of the summer months. We're not strictly, restricted by seasonality here. We could actually drill through the winter. But when the snow melts, it's easier to explore for new deposits. So we're really looking forward to getting geared up from June through to at least the end of September, if not into October, with a significant exploration program that continues to build on the data sets that we've gathered over the last few years. We have excellent exploration methodology. We believe we know how to find more deposits here. The data is pointing us to several very exciting target areas. We announced some of those in a news release just a couple of weeks ago around the Whistler orbit. As I mentioned earlier, we have around 25 geophysical anomalies that we want to systematically follow up on. The geochemistry that we reported on two weeks ago will help us target the highest priority, sort of 5 to 10 targets, and that should expedite or shorten the time that it takes us to make those discoveries. So we're very excited about taking all of that exploration data and getting back into the field this coming June. So of course, after the PEA comes out, before the end of Q1, look for announcements around a plan for the 2026 summer field season. And then, of course, updates on the road that the state is currently permitting. And then deeper into the summer and into the fall, the results from the exploration. Of course, we'll be reporting those as they become available.
Sounds great, Tim. Thank you very much for these insights into US gold mining and the Whistler project. All the best for 2026, and we look really forward for an update on the PEA soon.
Thank you very much, Tim. Pleasure to be here.
My pleasure. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it. US gold mining and the Whistler project is in a really good shape. The company has a world-class gold project with copper as a significant and strategic byproduct, and a PEA is coming soon. I would say check out this company, and bye-bye from Switzerland.